Hey, 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 what's up, Crown Nation? Welcome to Rock the Crown. I am your host tonight, Naima. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to come in, but while we're coming in, I have my queen, Nefertari, here with two special guests. We have Miss Nyambi and Sabira, and they also have their companies and their companies as well as their hair care products and or services that they'll be talking to you about today. And so today we are talking about tips and tools for styling and caring for your hair. And I'm sure some people are probably asking the question, why are they talking about that? They have scarves on. Well, we have hair. That's why we need to talk about this, right? Because everyone knows that a woman's hair is her crown and glory, whether it's cut all the way off into a fade with lines, like in Wakanda, or whether she has a mane all the way down like Rapunzel, it is still her crown and glory. And so tonight we want to make sure that we talk about all the tools that are necessary to take care of our hair, because as African American women, we'll be coming from that perspective. But we know that hair care also can kind of assist, or people can be assisted with the same hair care tips, although they don't have the same hair type. And we're not going to be talking about 4-9 and 8-1 and all that stuff, because I don't know anything about those numbers and hair types, but we are going to be talking about just general tips, and overview. So I want to start off. We have, of course, some of you all may not know, we have Nefertari, who is our Rock the Crown Queen, but also a licensed and professional hair care specialist. So tonight we want Neff to start us off with a little bit about the history of hair care and African American hair, especially. So, Neff, kick us off with some wax and some curls.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here. And as Naima said, I am a licensed professional master stylist. I keep my license current, when you want to have that thing to fall back on. It's not something that I do full time, but, I've been licensed for many, many years. And so tonight we're going to talk about a few things to give you some tips on hair care. And then we have a couple of women with us, our special guests, Sabira and Crystal, who are in the making and having products of their very own, as well as I'll be giving a shout out to someone else, Paula Johnson. She has products called Keep It Pretty. And so some of the information that I will give you are also tips coming from her. And so we're going to kind of talk about, as an African American, what we do with hair care as far as washing, which we don't really call it washing, it's shampooing. Shampooing the hair, how often we should do that. And as far as our hair, we know oftentimes our hair dries out faster than most other people. And so getting a little bit of tips on that, how often we should oil our hair, as well as, as we get older, sometimes things begin to shift a little bit, and you might want to know, what should I be doing different? And really, honestly, I can answer that one now. It's not a whole lot of difference. It's just continuing what we should already be doing. And so we're going to get into it. So as far as shampooing the hair, right? When I'm just thinking about, like, when you actually go to a salon, I know, at least for me, and it's not that often that I go, but that shampoo is so important. Like, you want somebody who can really massage that scalp, really invigorates things, and get things moving around, as well as make sure that it's clean. One of the last things you want to do is have somebody feeling around your hair where you barely can, like, it's almost like a massage. So that shampoo and that massage is, like, very, very important. So the shampoo cleanses the hair and the scalp. Now, for those people who actually use chemicals, which plenty of us still get the perm, although a lot of us have, reverted to natural hair care or natural hair. But if you do have chemicals in your hair, you should especially pay attention to certain shampoos that you put in your hair. But for shampoo that will help your hair have a good pH balance is important. So think about the dryness of your hair. There's different shampoos, whether you have dry hair, whether you have thinning hair. but you want to have those products that kind of create like a pH balance of at least like a number 7. And that's one of those things that Naima said she wasn't going to get into too much.
Yeah,
But
because I don't know what that means. Am I sticking litmus in my hair? Am I like putting the number next to it and see if it turns green? I don't know what that means, but I'm sure that we can learn some tips and tools for that as well.
Yeah, so using like alkaline products, and this is in the shampoo and the conditioner actually. So,
Okay.
but any of the products that are like below a 6, it really kind of it contracts the hair and it makes it a lot tighter. It tightens it up. So it's a little bit harder it makes it a little bit harder to function. And so sometimes it's not really just our hair. Of course, we know for our hair is more kinky. We have curls, but we all have curls. No matter what nationality you are, it's just that our curls sometimes can be a little bit tighter than usual. And so one of the things that help our hair to grow, which I know we're very familiar with this, is the castor oil. This is something that that's been used for like hundreds of years. And so it actually creates a softness to the hair and it aids for like faster growth. And I know a lot of times we kind of look for products that will help our hair to grow faster. So the castor oil and also the argan oil. So the argan oil actually penetrates the hair shaft and it nourishes the hair and it actually adds moisture and it prevents the hair from being frizzy and just prevents breakage. So having a good shampoo. Mm-hmm.
That argan oil. So, we live in the United States. So, can you give us some tips on what's the best argan oil? Because I know when I go to Morocco, it's 100% natural because they're making it right there in the store.
Well, of course,
and it doesn't cost $70 for some argan oil either. So what happens here in America when we're looking for argan oil and, people have companies have a tendency to, number one, just add water and or other ingredients to make it not as natural.
Right. And so, and like you said, just adding other ingredients, which kind of dilutes it in a way. And you are sometimes, even if they just put a few drops in it, just having that name, argan oil, people want to spend that money because this is something that's good for your hair. And so, of course, having products that are all natural is best. How do you know whether it's all natural? It's flipping it over and reading those ingredients for one, and kind of getting familiar with certain products, people, and I'm just, for our hair, we talk about African Americans. We know our hair best. And so I definitely would promote buying Black hair care products from our own people, like African Americans. So we have our best interests at heart for our hair care. And there are many of us who are selling products. As I said, we've got some young ladies on tonight, and we're also highlighting another one. And so that's just 3 right there. So we have many out there. But back to the oil. So like with oil in our hair, when you ask the question, how often should we oil our hair as African Americans, right? This is something that I asked another professional, this is Paula Johnson, and she is the owner of Keep It Pretty. And so she was saying for her, not just for her individually, what she recommends for her customers is to actually oil your hair twice a day. Now, I know you might be surprised, but twice a day. So, and I see you, Naima. And so really, and it's not heavy. Like, don't do it like really heavy. But a lot of times when you think about, like, even when you wash your hands and you put lotion on it, like when you think about, you kind of have to know your skin. You have to kind of know your hair. You have to know, like, at what level should you apply more to it. And so, and then when you put that oil in, kind of like massaging it. And so it's like being able to do it twice a day. It's like at night, which is like one of the times that a lot of people kind of do things with their hair, whether for those that don't have locks or, if it's damp, if it's in a state where you can brush it, but brushing your hair thoroughly and putting oil and moisturizer on it. That's the scalp and the hair. I know sometimes now you don't want to say
I was going to ask
too much. Yeah. Yes, that's for the scalp and the hair. And so she has an optimizer, one of her products that you can use for that. But moisturizing the hair and then also adding water to your body. Like, when we think about products, but you also have to think about the things that you put in your body. So you have to drink plenty of water. This helps to keep the hair moisturized as well. And this also helps to not have to oil, because sometimes, even though I say twice a day, some people can actually oil their hair twice a day and they won't even, it's like, where did the oil go? It's like my hair still feels dry, looks like real thirsty. So, when your hair gets to start acting like it's dehydrated, you need to drink some more water. So drinking plenty of water, it definitely affects the hair growth as well. And, when we drink the water and the food that we take in, it makes a big deal with our hair care. Oh, and so I'm looking at this baby picture. I got sidetracked. So it also fights the impurities. So massaging, drinking plenty of fluids, getting in your good vegetables and fruits, trying to limit, the meats. We all like meat. Most of us, a lot of us eat meat. Naima, we know you don't.
Okay.
I don't know about you two young ladies, but this is some more advice that she gave too. Just up your fruits and vegetables. Like, you can't go wrong with that. And so the things that we put in our body, it also comes out in our hair. So just remember that one thing. And so drink plenty fluids. And so one of the fruits and vegetables that she recommended was mushrooms, oysters and mushrooms. These substitute as meats that you can use instead of eating the meat. And not fruits and vegetables, but these are substitutions that you can have for meat. Naima, what do you use? What do you eat? Because we know that you definitely hook up some meals to not be. Now, I know your family eats meat, but Naima really knows how to like hook some meals up, and you would think that you're eating meat, but you're not. So
yeah, that's right. So I use beans and vegetables. So like, even like when I'm getting ready to make tacos or Mexican food, I love to use squash and eggplant. And people don't realize, really, a lot of cooking is really about spices more than it is the actual product. And so if you have the right spices, you can make anything taste good. And so I try to make sure that, although I'm eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, I'm not eating only salad. And so still making sure that I get my legumes in, that I'm getting in my proteins, that I'm eating some quinoa, I'm having fiber, all of those different things. And all of that is important. I think sometimes when people say, oh, you're eating vegetarian, or even if, it's not vegetarian. And let me just say, eating is not a religion. Okay. So if I choose to eat meat, I don't want nobody pointing their fingers because I'm eating a lamb, whatever. So occasionally I will eat lamb. I will say that. If I feel like I really, really need some meat in my system, especially when I'm doing training for like triathlons and things like that, sometimes I'll eat meat for the protein because I know that I'll need it for that long extended ride or that long extended run or whatever. But for the most part, just trying to make sure that everything is not just straight salad. And even for pescatarians, making sure you're not eating excessive amounts of fish and shell, shrimp and stuff like that, because that's also not healthy. But just making sure getting all of the proper nutrients. And of course, I love to drink water. And so we don't buy juice in my house. It's all water. So you come to my house, guess what you're drinking? Water. And so I've learned also to create drinks out of whether it's basil, mint leaves and things like that. And so if we have juices, hibiscus, I'll make some sorrel out of hibiscus. So those are the juices that I'll kind of create, and that comes from water. So those are a couple of things that I do.
Yeah, I could testify to that. Had some mint water last night. So pretty much we just want to make sure that we're using the products that are protecting the layers of our hair, and we're drinking plenty of fluids. And so one of the things that I know that has been a question for us is for those women who exercise, they do a lot of running and a lot of swimming. It's like, what do I do with my hair? The answer is really you doing the exact same thing. You're just making sure. Now, I know with the swimmer, it's probably really hard because, I would encourage a swim cap too. Between the chlorine and all of that, it's really important that you do shampoo your hair. Now, I would say for like running, biking, whatever it is, when you actually sweat, this is something that actually gives the hair justice. It actually helps the hair when you sweat. Like,
Oh.
yeah, and this is also some, and I got this bit of information from my girl Paula with the products as well. She's really awesome with what she does. But when you think about us as African Americans and how we really don't sweat as much, when you think, like even if we compare it to Caucasians, they sweat a lot more, their hair grows a lot more, and so the sweat actually helps to um, bring hydration to the hair.
Well, I sweat a lot.
So you do. You do sweat a lot, like, and so
And my hair should be like
so
to the floor, right? Sabira does my hair. Since my mom, I've only had 4 people do my hair, and I'm about to be 50. And so Sabira, she's on here. Nefertari, I've had Khadijah Abdurrahman and Tara Lynn, and that is it. And
I remember when Tara Lynn used to do your hair. That's when you used to get it.
Yes, she used to straighten my hair, but that's it. It's like I'm not trying to have a whole bunch of people in my hair. I don't like that. And I know even Sabira. Remember when Sabira first started doing my hair, because Terry would do it. And so I started my hair in an untraditional way. And so through that untraditional way, it kind of turned into, okay, Neff was available sometimes. And then I was like, well, Sabira's kind of a little bit more available. But then Sabira came in. What happened is I saw my son Idris's hair, and she had done such a great job on that. And because she had done such a great job, I was like, I need to call her and have her do my hair. And so Sabira, kind of talk to us about how you got started with doing hair, and give us a couple of tips that you like to tell your clients as you're doing hair.
Okay. So basically I started doing hair when I was really young. I have 2 younger sisters, so they were my guinea pigs, and I would like braid their hair. I would stay up all night doing like different styles and stuff like that. And it was a few people that I knew when I was younger that they would let their daughters come over to get their hair done. So it's always been like a hobby for me. And I was like around 10 or 11. And then when I started high school, I started doing my friend's hair. And one of my friends was like, you need to start charging. Like, you can't just do people's hair for free. But I really enjoyed it. So, but eventually I started charging just a little bit here and there. Fast forward to me graduating, we had like a job fair at school. And I met someone who owned a salon on the west side of Atlanta. And she was like, when you leave school, you should come work for me, and you should come intern for me or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So once I left school, I ended up being her assistant, and she taught me pretty much everything. Like, I helped her with events, I helped her, but it was like more so like, well, literally everything. Like, I helped her with events, I helped her with shampooing clients, I helped her with stocking the supplies, I helped like with literally everything. So from there, I started to dibble and dabble in different things like career paths. But when it came time for me to relocate to Cleveland, I just moved to Cleveland last year. That's when I was like, let me go back into this and start really started really making money and maximizing off of my talent. So that's pretty much what happened. And then as far as like, I did Ishmael's, your older son's first. And then he really loved it. And then he told his younger brother that he should come to me. And that's really how I get a lot of my clients, like word of mouth, honestly. And yeah.
And it's serving you, honey. So you were doing half of our family's hair.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another important thing. It's like, as a hairstylist, you have to realize that people want different things. Like, for your hair, I do a different technique. I use a different tool than your son's hair. And then I would even request or suggest different things for your hair than your son's hair, So yeah, that's a key point of being a stylist, just making sure that you are catering to your client's specific needs.
Yes.
So yeah.
So Niambi, how did you get started? Because you also do hair, correct?
Correct. I do. And my story is very similar to Sabira's. I've honestly been doing hair since I was little, doing my own hair. Unfortunately, my mother, although she has girls, did not do hair. So thank God for big sisters and cousins and neighbors and aunties. So I always played in my hair, always did hair. Even when I went to college, I was doing hair. So similar to Sabir, I did have other careers and other jobs, but I always did hair on the side. I started cosmetology school in 2016, graduated 2017. So just always loved it. And like Sabir, I'll do it. Oh, you don't have to give me any money. But now it's like, you have the knowledge, you have the skills, you have the knowledge on versatility and how to educate your clients. So, and people pay for that. That's a beautiful thing, alhamdulillah. So very similar to Sabir, I just enjoy doing hair. I even do my niece's hair all the time. Nephews, from locks to braids. I do have a mentor. We all know Sister Ifraj. So she actually took me under her wing and schooled me on some things with basically started my own business. And here we are today. I'm gonna say over 15 months.
If you see small circle, Ifraj does my hair.
Awesome.
Yes, that is awesome. So Naomi, you've been doing hair. You've been licensed since 2016.
2016.
But you've been doing hair. You said you've kind of been in it since you was a little girl.
Oh wow! Yeah. When I started my locks back in '98.
When it wasn't popular.
When it was not popular at all. But then, of course, we started getting into the natural hair phase, the neo soul, from the music to the fashion to the lifestyle. So a lot of people were complimenting me on my hair, and I was doing my own hair. So that's how I started to just build my clientele. And thank God they trusted me enough and stuck around long enough to stay clients for a while now.
Okay, excellent. We have a question in actually one of the chats. Nora's asking, how do you care for hair when you're transitioning from perm to natural? What product should be used? And what are some recommendations? And so anyone really, any three of you can actually answer this question because I know nothing about hair. And when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a cosmetologist, and I don't know what I was thinking because I don't even like to do my own hair. Okay, so you all have the floor, so anyone can answer that question.
Well, for me, when you're transitioning from chemicals to a natural state, I'm going to be honest, do a big chop, because that dead hair on top of the new hair is going to weaken it. And I know a lot of people, we have a problem with letting go. Let it go. It's hair. I promise you to grow back healthier and stronger. So that's one thing. Cut it off. If you want the length, get some braids, do protective styles. But even in protective styles, you still have to condition. You still have to shampoo your hair maybe once a week. You really have to keep it in, with it being fall, winter now, you definitely want to keep your hair moisturized. So when you're transitioning from chemicals to natural hair, I say cut it off, or gradually cut it off. If you don't want to do a big chop, gradually cut it off. You can do braids. Once you get down to where you can comfortably sport your natural hair, you can do twists. You can do so much more with your natural hair opposed to the, holding on to those chemicals. Let it go.
It also sounds familiar, Naomi. I think between Sabir and I, when you were talking and you was like, because I didn't want to say it. I'm like, I'm going to let y'all talk first, but I was going to say the same thing. You just got to cut it off. And we both were like, yeah, that's it.
I mean, for people who don't want to cut their hair off, I would agree, just trim it. And then still do protective styles. Make sure it's conditioned. Like, conditioned is a very big thing. Conditioning your hair is a very big thing to make sure that your hair is not breaking off, and it's like really keeping that moisture and that elasticity. So as long as you're conditioning your hair.
So we lost her just for a second.
Yeah, someone tried to call me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
They're like, "Are you on a TV show right now?"
Anyway, so yeah, as long as you're conditioning your hair, you can keep the elasticity and keep trimming it as it grows out. And that's my little advice.
I just want to share, even just with my own personal experience. I've been doing the natural thing for a little over 20 years now. And I remember when I did that, of course, the person asking the questions like, what do you do when you're trying to do that, make that transition? For me, I actually kind of did similar. When you say you cut a little bit off and you just let it grow, I waited till I had so much new growth. So I actually would just kind of take care of it, shampoo it, kind of have some of those styles, like you talk about protective styles or whatnot that you can have. And then I got it to a point where, so when I first cut it, it's not totally like so short, but it wasn't too long. It still had just enough to be able to create some things with it. So I just kind of waited for it to grow out a little bit. So that's another thing you can do. Once it grows out to an extent where you want, where you feel good about it, you can cut it. You don't have to cut your hair totally like shaving it, or brush length.
You don't have to do the Jada.
Right. Although it looks good on her.
Right. So about 1 to 2 inches, 3 inches. What is your recommendation from the scalp out?
I'll say 1 to 2 inches.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 inches, because then you honestly have a little bit more length to be a little bit more creative, where the styles will last a little longer.
I love what you all are talking about by saying protective styles. And I think this is something also that kind of happens on vacation. So can all of you kind of talk about protective styles and what that really means for Black women in hair?
Well, protective styles for me, when I first think about it, and I know everybody doesn't necessarily do like a form of extensions, but getting some type of braid style or braiding your own hair down, and maybe you might, wear scarves or a hat or a wig for some people. But just keeping your hair shampooed, well moisturized. Make sure you're taking care of it weekly, paying attention to it. And for some other people, you might do box braids, you might do some cornrows where you're adding hair to it. But trying to keep the chemicals off of it, even with color, while you're in that transition. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to add something. My idea of protective styling is you're keeping your hands out of your hair, essentially. You don't want to manipulate your hair. You want to keep it, like you said, conditioned, oil, clean, but you're not doing things daily with it to interfere with the natural growth process, if that makes sense. So that's really my little addition to it.
So Sabira, when you say that, what type of styles would you recommend?
The styles that you're saying, as far as like the cornrows, the French braids, the Senegalese twist, the box braids, anything where you're just keeping your hands out of your hair and maybe spraying something on it, oiling it every day, but you're leaving your hair alone.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like people with locks, their hair grows like a little faster, because you're literally leaving your hair alone, letting it go through its own processes alone, just leaving it alone.
Now, people with locks, one of those which I learned from Ifraj too, is that you definitely have to manipulate that scalp daily. Just put your hands and work that, massage your scalp so that it really kind of helps to create the growth, stimulate the growth of one. And then also, sometimes you have locks and your hair is just sitting there. Go ahead and put your mic on mute. So when your hair is just sitting there and you got locks and you're not doing that, your hair begins to stick together in places where you don't want them to stick together. And so you get to having to pull it apart or cut them apart or something. So that's really important too.
So Niambi, because you are really into natural products, I know that you're creating a product right now. You want to kind of talk to us about that and then kind of give the audience a couple of suggestions for natural products that are on the market right now that it can actually help in terms of just daily hair care.
Yeah. All right. Now, as far as the product that I'm praying to create, it's going to be an oil base, because for African American hair, we definitely neglect our hair with oil. We'll be quick to put a cream or something else in it, but we really need oil. I'm a Southern girl. I used to get my scalp oiled and had pretty nice thick hair. So I think that's the same thing we should really try and keep in mind when keeping our hair moisturized. So definitely something oil based. You guys earlier were talking about castor oil. Castor oil is a great oil. It covers it actually coats the hair. Castor oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, thick oils like that actually can help coat the hair and doesn't cause a lot of buildup. Now, as far as products in the store, there aren't any natural products in the store. They sell shea butter. That's probably the most natural thing in the store you're going to find. And one thing I did learn is it's entertainment on the front, but education on the back. So you want to definitely read what's in those products. I have a lot of clients, I hate to say this, but you get to washing their hair and it smells like gasoline because the products that they're using has petroleum in it. They don't know that. It just looks pretty. It says coconut oil. It says argan oil. It says all these things, but those ingredients are not in there. So the best thing I would suggest is making your own products. Water and oil. You can make your own pomades, blend down some shea butter, put some essential oils in them. Excuse me. And really find a good ratio. Coconut oil is not for everybody's hair. That's just with my experience. It's not for everybody's hair. Some people hair just love it. Other people hair dries it up. It feels like straw. So it's really, for me, experiment with your hair. Love your hair. Figure out what really works best for you. Some creams may work best for different grades, the 4C and 1B and all of that. But for honestly, African American hair, we need oil. Hot oil treatments, deep conditioners. That was something I
that hot oil treatment, boy. Back in the day, you remember the hot oil treatment with Sulfur 8? Boy, your hair was glistening, scalp feeling all like air going through it, and your hair. Look, when you were a little girl, your hair was all long down your back, and you just was like, oh, it's my hair. It's just, now it's like, can I get a hair? Can somebody come get it? Sabira, can you do a hot oil treatment with Sulfur 8 next time you do my hair?
With Sulfur 8.
Sulfur 8, honey, I love it.
And that's the thing. But again, you really have to get to know what works best for your hair. But I honestly strongly suggest making your own products because you really don't need a lot. Especially like making sure you're covering it at night. If you don't want to cover it, make sure you have a satin pillowcase. Even when you get in the shower, sometimes it's not best to wear. I don't wear a shower cap most of the time because I like the moisture to get into my hair, and that actually softens it up and helps me get the morning hair routine going. But as far as products in the store, I say make your own. But if you choose to go to buy products, oh my goodness, it's on the tip of my tongue.
We're gonna have everybody.
Essentials.
Yeah, we're gonna have everybody. You're gonna give your contact information so people can contact you so that they can learn how to make their own products. Because again, we used to do this stuff anyway, and so just because it's in a store doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. It's a better product anyway. And our grandmothers didn't have all these products, and we know that many of our grandmothers really did have long hair, and that's why some people think they have Indian in their family, because their hair is so long. But it's because grandma was using castor oil, right? And she was taking care of her hair, and some people were using rice water and all these different things that we just really don't use anymore. And Bergamot was like, it was a family name because everybody was using Bergamot. You know what I'm saying? And Sulfur 8, all those products that we no longer see kind of even on the shelf anymore. But yeah, just thinking about that. So make sure, Niambi, at the end of the show, you get your contact information because we do want to refer people to you to help get those natural products out. But I want to go back to another question. You all were talking about oil for the hair. And I know that there are a lot of women who are now doing natural styles, especially locks. And so how can women use locks? Because I was once told, don't put conditioner on your hair if you're locking it because it'll unlock your hair. And I'm like, that don't even sound right. I don't know if that's true, But if you all can answer that, and then how do you use oils with locks where it is actually penetrating inside of the lock or not becoming like a oily mess?
So I'm going to answer the question for the conditioner real quick. When you're first starting your locks, using a conditioner is not good because your hair can have that slippage, and especially with sister lock, really any type of lock, because conditioner does what? It relaxes the hair, it softens it, and when your hair starts to do that before it actually locks, it could cause a lot of slippage to happen. But taking the place of a conditioner, you can make sure you're using the oil so that your hair is still getting what it needs. Now, it doesn't mean you can never use conditioner in your hair if you have locks. Because your hair grows in different phases when you have locks. And once it gets to a point where, because you're always going to have that new growth, you're always going to have the fresh locks at the new growth. But then as your hair grows out, the rest of it will be able to withstand the conditioner. For one, you don't want to have the conditioner in there. And a lot of times people don't rinse it real good, and you start to get that buildup and that cakiness in there. So that's another reason they said don't use a lot of conditioner. But if you use a conditioner once a month, once every couple of months, or just a few times within a couple of months, it's not a bad thing. But you just want to make sure that you rinse really, really well, and whether you're doing it yourself or have a professional. I like to shower best, especially if you got one of those heads that come off and you can just kind of like do your thing if you're doing it yourself. Because I know a lot of times with natural stylists, when you go and get your locks done, a lot of times they're not shampooing there. Very seldom. But sometimes you find them where they do the shampoo. So a lot of times people who have the natural hair, who have the locks, they're doing their own shampooing at home. And so you are being told, don't use the conditioner, but putting that oil on there. And a lot of times, even with the oil, it's mostly oil in your scalp. It's not a whole lot of oil in the hair, but you do want to, pull it down through the hair shaft occasionally, but not overly.
Okay. Niambi, you wanted to say something?
As far as like distributing the oils through your hair with locks, I brush my locks. I suggest getting a very soft brush, maybe like a baby brush. And when you oil your hair, just brush your hair lightly. I probably brush like twice a week. Nothing too hard, but something that's going to help distribute the oils. It's going to travel, from all the way down. However, brushing also helps keep lint out and helps to distribute the oil. So that's
the first time.
Naomi, I didn't
really
before.
Hey, that's the first time I ever heard brush and locks in the same sentence. Like a lot of people, when they lock their hair, they throw like brushes away and all kind of stuff.
I keep lint out. And then not only that, but I'm a hairstylist, so it helps to keep other people's hair, as well. But like I said, a very soft brush. Something real fine. That'll help.
Sabira?
Yeah, so I was gonna say that I actually use oil before I shampoo my client's hair, and I prefer to shampoo my client's hair. So I like spray it down with oil and then I shampoo, or even just co-wash with just conditioner. And I make sure all of it gets out. That way the oil and the conditioner is in the hair, in the lock. And yeah, that's pretty well. For my locks, I use like a leave-in conditioner every day. I spray them down with a really good leave-in conditioner from Carol's Daughter. And I use the same one for my clients. And then I use a little bit of oil on top of the leave-in conditioner. So that is preferred when your hair is kind of moist right out of the shower. But that way you're conditioning your hair and oiling your hair at the same time. And you don't need that much. As long as you're just spraying it like evenly all over, then you should be good. And like you said, when you're doing the scalp treatment, then that's the perfect time to do that. If you have any locks you need to separate, go ahead and separate it then. And yeah, so that's my little tip as far as the oil. And brushing your hair, I brush my hair too.
Wow.
I brush my locks. I go through and with the layers and just brush the individual layers. And yeah,
I'm going to try that. So Sabira, one thing you mentioned was spraying the oil. I think that's sometimes we get those oils that spray. I'm thinking about like a spray bottle that actually sprays like a pretty big spray. I think that's a good idea have that spray. Of course, we use the ones with the nozzle a lot. And I really love Talia Wadget's product as well, her oil that she has. And she's got a whole line of products that are really good for our hair. But spraying the locks on and brushing it, ooh, I'm going to try both of those.
I can't, look, I actually want to brush my hair now.
No.
I'm excited about that. Okay, let's keep it moving. I love this conversation. And I know that other people are watching because they have a lot of questions about hair and hair products and how to style it. And something that kind of like, you know, when we're thinking about hair, a lot of women are using natural, but what are some of the best ways to also, just if people who are still using chemicals in their hair, what are some of the best ways to still keep the hair very healthy? Because one thing also that I've noticed with African American women is they're afraid to use chemicals. So what they've kind of gone to is using false hair in order to get that natural long look. But when really, if they just take care of their hair, it'll grow natural and long. So what are some techniques for that from each one of you can kind of talk about that?
Okay, so if you do have chemical hair, you still have to. I think it's more maintenance when you have chemicals when opposed to when you are natural. So when you have chemical hair, you gotta make sure that you're not putting a lot of heat in your hair, and if you gotta make sure that you are wearing protective chemical styles like wraps, roller sets, things of that nature. Which honestly, when you think about it, that's what our moms did. That's what our grandmothers did. So those are good protective styles when you have, chemicals in your hair, or that's a good way to keep your hair healthy. You don't have to get a perm every 4 weeks. You want to wait those 6 weeks. You want to, stretch it out. You don't want to put too much stress on your hair because it is chemicals, colors, stuff like that in moderation. You don't want to be going from dark hair to a platinum blonde and thinking you're going to have, the integrity of your hair is going to hold. It's not. It's not. So it's just things like that you have to be mindful of. If you want color, like Nefertiti said, get a wig. Get something that's going to still protect your hair but still give you the look you want to accomplish. But you still have to really maintain your hair when you have chemicals in your hair.
Never heard that point before. Get a wig if you want some color. Never heard that before.
Get some henna.
But I totally understand. Henna. Okay, so what are your thoughts about henna? Because I think that a lot of African Americans, if they're Muslim, they probably know about henna, but African American women in general, I don't really know that they know about henna and the actual benefits of henna for the hair. So anybody want to talk about that?
I just think I get my henna from Lush. Now, actually, that's a natural product store, period. Across the board, everything there is natural. And it's made with cocoa butter and the henna. So when you sit it on your hair, it's delicious. And actually, I need to be doing that real soon because it also replenish the oils and gives you a nice color and a nice shine to your hair too. And I recommend
Ooh, I can't wait.
And it's a
Sabera,
nice
I can't wait, Sabera. I miss you so much.
And henna also promotes hair growth as well. So that's one of the other things. Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to ask a question earlier for you, Naomi and Sabera. We kind of talked about protective styles and the styles that people can wear when they, we don't want them to mess with their hair so much. Sometimes we see the flip side of that where people do so much with their hair with adding in hair and, being so concerned with this finished look that they're not taking care of their hair. So I was wondering what advice you might give to people who, wear extensions all the time or, put the glue in their hair all the time or, whatever look they look, putting it, shellacking the hair down, pretty much gelling that bad boy down and drying it
And
hard.
now with Gorilla Glue.
or So what advice would you give? I'm gonna give it to you guys so that you can talk a little bit on that.
Well, I think you really with protective styles.
Well, I'm saying on one end, we call it protective styles, but if you overdo it and you're really not.
I say don't do it yourself. Go to a professional to do it. Simply because they're gonna understand the ratio of how much hair to put in and to make it look natural. Where I've seen it all. Like, okay, you could have paid somebody to do that, but so I just think go to a professional. We're always wanting to be Google educated or YouTube educated. Go to a professional, or you won't have any edges, or you'll have bald patches in your hair. So that's just my advice on it. Just go to a professional and try not to do too much.
Yeah, I would
Thank
say
you.
go to a professional, but even more, go to a professional that cares about natural hair. Because a lot of people don't care about natural hair. They don't care about how your hair looks up under the wig or even with the braids. So if you go to somebody who's conscious of your hair just being clean, your scalp being healthy, your hair being healthy, then you won't have a lot of those issues of your edges coming out or the wrong glue or your scalp getting having allergic reactions. All of these things happen when you put these chemicals on your scalp. And above all, I think people should just love themselves. Like, I know it's easier said than done, but literally just loving yourself, being able to look at yourself in your most natural state on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and say, you know what, I'm beautiful, because even though your hair is a part of your identity, it's not all of who you are, so that would be my tip.
I love that part. And Kalila has a question about how do you protect your hair from breakage when you wear a scarf every day, and particularly with the edges. So, like, your hair is all looking good, but you're all bald on the side. So, how do women who wear scarves protect their hair on a daily basis? Because especially if you're going out every day, you have to wear your scarf. So, what are some recommendations for that?
So one of the things that I would say about protecting the hair, sometimes it may not be completely baldness, but your hair begins to thin around the edges. And I think for people who wear scarves and for people that don't, but especially those who wear scarves, I think pay attention to the fabrics that you're wearing. Try to wear something that's silky. It's the same thing you would wear at night when you go to sleep, because your hair is going to be rubbing back and forth on that. And use that, even if it's not your outer scarf, but use that up underneath to be able to protect it. And then making sure you don't tie it too tight on a daily basis. And I know sometimes, like for me, when I'm at home, I'll be ready to just especially since COVID, I'm like, I don't even want nothing on my head really. So just making sure you're not wrapping it too tight too. And of course, all the things that we've already made mention of was just regular hair care, keeping it moisturized, eating well, drinking plenty of fluids. All of that factors into that hair. But I think in addition to that, just not making sure you're not wrapping it too tight, and then there's different products that you can use to help to thicken the hair around the edges. And I know I mentioned Paula Johnson earlier. That's one of her specialties, or one of the products. She actually makes her products herself. And everything is organic, natural products. And so that was one of the things that got her really started, was the thinning of the hair around the hairline, especially. And so using different using like a hair revitalizer, maybe 2-3 times a week in that area, that will definitely help to thicken what you don't have there, and to limit or stop the hair loss that's coming.
Okay, great. I know that there was a question earlier. Someone was asking, or Nora, my mother, was asking about where to get henna. And so I personally know some places to go get henna would be Indian stores, Indian grocery stores, as well as just Indian stores in general. They generally have henna. Does anyone else have any recommendations as to where to get henna?
Like I said, Lush, they have a henna bar, and you can actually get at least 3 or 4 uses, depending on the length of your hair. Let me say that. Get at least 2 to 3 uses out of it. You have to use a double boiler to melt it down, apply it to your hair that way. But that's the only henna that I've used on my hair. Now, as far as like the other henna, like you said, the Indian stores, because I know they have like different box types of henna that you can use.
Okay, excellent. This has been such a great conversation. We're going to go down now to, I know we talked about like the nutrition, but just really wanting to kind of end the conversation with what are some recommendations in terms of nutrition? Because of course, you know, even with not just your hair, but your skin, your face, your nails, everything starts from the inside out. So what are some recommendations that each of you recommend to your clients in order to keep their hair looking shiny and healthy without oil?
I say drink lots of water, get lots of rest. It's funny, but fast outside of Ramadan, you know, take a day without eating, you know, give your body a break. And that's hydration, less stress, good sleep. Like Sister Sabira said, loving yourself can always help you love somebody else. So that's my recommendation.
Yes, I would say leafy greens, spinach, kale, like basically greens, salads, tomatoes, cucumbers. I tell some of my clients they should be eating more like almonds, like more nuts, and a lot of water. And then even outside, another tip I wanted to add with your shampoo, you could actually add apple cider vinegar. That's something you can drink or something you can add to your shampoo to help break down the product or anything you have going on in your scalp or in your hair. So yeah, I would take that orally and then also put it in my hair product. But yeah, that's it.
And Nefertari.
Strawberries. Strawberries are really good. Most people like strawberries, but that's definitely something that helps the hair, that will help the hair growth. You know, I know we talk about fruits and vegetables, but pretty much, you know, you just can't go wrong with any. You know, Sabira mentioned the leafy greens and, you know, all of that. Of course, we know mostly anything that's green is good for you. So, but I would say strawberries, even avocado, you know, I think avocado is even good on the, if you just put it actually on the hair, mix it, put it on the hair, mix it with a little eggs and let that sit on there as a conditioner.
Wait, before you said eggs, I know I put eggs in my hair one time and it looked like it was scrambled eggs. Are you saying egg whites or egg yolks? Or that happened to me before. I don't know if anyone else that's happened to, but I was like, oh, I heard eggs is good, and next thing I know, it looked like I had scrambled eggs in my hair. I was like,
what did you just come off a hot rinse?
I have no idea what happened.
Your hair was cooking. But yeah, no, I think, you know, really you can use the egg white only, or you can just have them both mixed together. But I would say just, you know, it's been a long time, but that's been kind of like one of those old school kind of things, mixing the egg with the, you know, and even putting some oil in there with it and just using that and let it sit. I don't know if I've heard of that one before. But so I mentioned strawberries, but also oats. You know, Naima, you actually had made up something when we did our retreat where you did the oatmeal mix for the face. You can also put that in your hair, you know, and that will help that, you know, just let it sit the same way you do like a facial mask. I mentioned the avocados, but broccoli is also something that's good and healthy for the hair as well. So really, if you just kind of focus on fruits and vegetables and eating, you know, and I think most of us like fruits and vegetables for the most part, but if you just focus on that, period, you can just, you know, you should win. You should win.
Okay, excellent. Okay, ladies, let us know. So we're going to start off with Naomi. Let us know, give us your contact information where people can contact you, especially to get advice on how to make those natural hair products.
Awesome. Well, I'm at Love Me Knots Hair Salon. I'm in Dunwoody at My Salon Suites. We're in the Perimeter Mall area. What's my suite number? Suite 401. My phone number is 404-337-9169. You can also check out my Instagram, which is Love Me Knots 365.
Excellent. Can you spell it out just so the people, in case we want to make sure that they're understanding exactly what you're saying?
Yes, it's Love Me Knots. LOVEMEKNOTS.
And thank you for spelling that, because I thought you were saying something else.
Right. Like one word.
Love Me Not. I love that name.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. All right, Sabira, how can people contact you?
On Facebook at Fatia Sabira or on Instagram at Locked In with Sky. And yeah.
And Nefertari, we know we can always hit you Rock on Crown, but where can people reach out to you if they wanted to get information on hair care?
Right. So you can definitely reach out to me by calling me, texting me, or just reach out to me on my social media at officialqueenscreations.com. My phone number is 678-949-3975. I also want to share the information for Keep It Pretty. Paula Johnson is the CEO of these products. She has the hair revitalizer and all of that. You can reach her. You can find her on Reflection or www.reflectionkip.com. That's REFLECTIONKIP for Keep It Pretty.com. So she has a lot of natural hair certified products. You definitely want to reach out to her. Again, her number is 816-744-0440. We hope you guys got a whole wealth of information tonight, and we get some hair care, better hair care going for all of us and our viewers.
And so I'm encouraging everybody to go out and buy that baby brush those edges with some castor oil, and let's all have an avocado party for our hair. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, so let's get ready to do that. And we also want to make sure that everybody likes us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follows us on Instagram. So again, thank you all so much, Crown Nation. Thank you so much to our guests for joining us today. We hope that everyone was inspired and locked in with all of the hairstyles. But we'll see you all again next week on Rock the Crown. Have a good evening.
Salam.
Peace.